evening and welcome to episode 383 of the Gersnet Podcast. It's your Friday night show. We'll have a look back at the Man United game and look forward to the Dundee United game. I'm your host tonight, I'm John McCallum. It's not just, of course, a podcast we have at Gersnet. We have a forum, we have articles, we have social media, and we have a wonderful history archive. Gersnet is the independent Rangers podcast made by fans for fans, where the content is free. If you enjoy what you hear, then please, we would urge you to subscribe on your favourite podcast channel. So as I said, we're going to look back at last night's kind of sickener at Old Trafford. Look forward to the other United in Dundee on Sunday, and maybe have a wee chat around the squad and what it's going to look like. Before we do any of that, I just need to have a word about our sponsors, who are Forrest Precision Engineering. Now, they are a subcontract Glasgow-based engineering company, and they've been a big commercial supporter of Rangers for many, many years, and we are delighted that they are backing our pod. You can find out more about them at forrestprecisioneng.com, and you can also visit the Forrest Precision Executive Lounge, which is a stunning hospitality area in the main stand. And for information on how you could book that unique space, just contact the club directly at hospitality@rangers.co.uk. Now, I'm joined tonight by a man who this week to be discovered as a style guru for Bill Leckie. He's angrier than Storm Ewan, or however you pronounce that, and he's more frightening than a government red alert coming through your phone when you're driving along the expressway. It's Colin Armstrong, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, Colin. I bet you wish you were watching Traitors just now, eh?
No, I'm not a fan, actually. I'm not a fan of the Traitors. I would rather not be talking about last night. I'll accept that accusation, yeah. But whether I'd be watching the Traitors or not, I don't think that would be the case. But I'm not enjoying the Bill Leckie stuff, John. We need to stop the Bill Leckie stuff.
Take that up with your barber, mate. Take it up with your barber. I should point out to you.
It's a bit of an insult. It's a bit of an insult, you know.
I should point out
the line.
to you that if you are ever on with me, that it will be after a defeat, because that currently is my line. They put me on when the defeats, then I get to talk about them. Ross now refuses to come on with me, and I think that just joins everybody else. I think it's basically you're the only one left who will. So listen, let's look at last night, because it's a preview show. So we'll have a quick look back at last night, because it's obviously still quite fresh in the mind. The starting lineup came out. I'm not sure. There were many surprises in it. Was it what you expected?
Yeah, I mean, I think the team pretty much picked itself last night, John, given the injury situation again, which is becoming really tiresome for me. But I mean, I think you would have been surprised. I would, like, if Lawrence had started, for example, you know what I mean, because it was the first time he'd been in the squad for a few weeks. So yeah, when you were looking at the players who were available, I don't think he had any options. I think the only possible change would have been was Butland fit to play? So I don't think that had been confirmed. I suspected it would have been, because a lot of the pre-match stuff for the media team at Rangers, Butland was in it, yeah. And you kind of got the impression that was them giving you the hint that he was going to make an appearance. But I think that was maybe the only position I thought that was maybe up for debate, whether he would come back into the side if he was fit enough. I think given the options that are open to us for at the moment in general, but specifically for last night, I don't know if you could have picked any other team, to be honest with you, John.
No, there wasn't really much of a surprise there. But as you said, Butland returned, and that was probably the only change that you might have looked at and thought, is that deserved? He is our number one. He has been our number one since he came into the club. He had a great first season. Is it deserved on this season's form? And if you were manager, would you be keeping him in the team after that performance?
I mean, I would say it's a valid question. I mean, I'm not convinced that Kelly showed if he was any much better, to be honest with you. He had a couple of wobbles in the games that he stepped into cover for Butland. But I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I think the feeling early on last season when we signed Butland was that we had replaced like for like almost with McGregor. We had got someone of a similar stature, and actually someone who was probably better at McGregor when it came to dealing with cross balls and stuff like that. You know, it was a goalkeeper that was keen to come off his line. He's just not like that at all this season. I don't know if it's a mental thing or whether he's just off form at the moment, but he has genuinely looked a shadow of his former self this season. And I'm sure we'll come on and talk about the mistake, but I mean, it's a howler, and it's cost us.
It did, and it's interesting you said you didn't know if Kelly was much of an improvement or much of it. And my feeling was that actually, I don't know if we'd saw enough of Kelly to understand if he's as good a shot stopper, because I think Butland is an excellent shot stopper. I think his reactions and that sort of things, and I think he did demonstrate that again last night. I think he's an excellent shot stopper. But on the little I saw of him, I think Kelly has better distribution. I think Kelly's passing from feet and ball at his feet is actually better than Butland's, albeit over 4 games against not brilliant opposition. I thought he was slightly better at that. But yeah, I like you. I wasn't surprised that Butland started. He came straight back into the team. He is the number one. He wasn't out for 6 months. He was out for a few weeks. Yeah. So I perhaps wasn't. In fact, I definitely wasn't surprised he came back in. I don't know how Kelly will be feeling about that, but I guess he knew the situation when he joined. He knew he was coming in as a number 2, and that he would be called on from time to time, and we'll just have to see how it goes. We will talk about the goal, so I'll leave that just now. Does he keep his place? Yeah, I think he does. But there's a question mark over him now. Yeah, that wasn't there before.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if it was this season or last season, Clement made a comment about him being, without a doubt, the best player in the squad. He was the man as far as he was concerned. Yeah. And I think a sign of how far he's sort of dropped, Clement kind of chucked him under a bus a couple of weeks back there, a few weeks ago, saying, he'd made a mistake. I think it was the Motherwell game, after the Motherwell game, when he made another sort of howler that day. I'm sure he made a comment, he's making mistakes now that he never used to make and all that kind of stuff. So that is a sign, I think, if a manager's publicly commenting that you're displaying frailties that weren't in your game before, then obviously something's wrong. Your performance levels are definitely dropping. I mean, I remember, again, to show my age here, Chris Woods, when he was out for a bit, he had that thing with his ear. And I think in an Old Firm game, he broke a rib. I think Lex Bailey broke a rib in a challenge in an Old Firm game. And for a while, when Woods came back, he didn't look the same keeper. It took him a long while before he reached the sort of heights he was at before. So there maybe is just something away in the background that we don't know about, and because we know the form he can reach, we know the levels that he's capable of. Yeah. So you would assume at some point, that should return. But, he needs to start doing it sooner rather than later. Because I'll be honest with you, I think even the second goal last night, I mean, I don't think it's his fault.
No. But I think could he have done better?
Because it was kind of right at him, you know what I mean? And it's went through his leg, so you're kind
that was my feeling as well.
You're kind of quite... it's went straight at him. You're questioning his reactions again. You know what I mean? It could have been a wee bit quicker. But I think it would be harsh to blame him for it. But I do think you can look at that goal and ask the question, could he have done a wee bit better?
Well, there's certainly at least a couple of players more culpable than him for the second goal. But we'll come to the goals in a wee minute. Let's stay with the first half for a second. We created a couple of excellent chances in the first half. Yeah. We rode our luck. I mean, I think the goal being chalked off, it's one of these ones where, it was on the soft side. If it goes for you, you're happy. If it goes against you, you're furious. I think I think he caught him when he caught his leg. Whether he caught him enough to put him down, I'm not entirely sure. He definitely caught him in the leg, and he may well just simply stumbled from that. But I think the more important thing for me, Colin, was we didn't look at our depth. Going to Old Trafford, I know people were saying, well, Man United are having a bad season and they're not the team they were, and I get all that, but still a bloody good team compared to, they're not the greatest team in Man United's history, and they're not the best team in the league they're playing, but they're playing in a very, very good league against very, very good teams. And they're still not a bad team. I watched them against Liverpool a few weeks ago, and they looked pretty good to me in that game, I have to say. So, they're still a decent team. And I thought by half-time, I thought, you know what? we don't look at our depth here. I think Man United, as you would expect at home, had the bulk of the possession, but I think we had the best chances in that first half. Particularly the one with Redvan, he had it first time. Had it either side of the goalie, it's in, but he didn't. But the one with Raskin, it's the weakness in Raskin's game, and it's currently the only weakness in his game. Is when he gets into goal scoring positions, he isn't. Just doesn't seem to have it. His first touch was great. His second touch was awful. It just
seemed to fall over. It just seemed it was as if he couldn't believe he was in the position that he was in. You know what I mean? Yeah.
At the end of the first half, how were you feeling? I mean, at the end of the first half, you must have been feeling like, we're in this game.
Yeah, I felt we were in it. I was not quite as happy as you were, John. I was, my feeling building up to the game. We've had a couple of chats on the WhatsApp and stuff like that. I felt there was an opportunity there for us last night, because I think our performances in Europe are the complete opposite of what we're performing domestically, especially away from home. And I thought if we can hit those sort of levels, and they have another off day and they're having a lot of off days, there's an opportunity there for us. We could actually maybe get a result there. There's a real chance that we could get something. And again, I didn't think Man United were great in the first half. Had more of the possession, as you say, were a wee bit lucky with the goal. But I didn't think they were outstanding.
They weren't outplaying us.
No, but I thought from our perspective, middle to front, I thought we were poor. We couldn't get Czerny into the game, couldn't get Egeman into the game. Bajrami was, I think we were 25 minutes, half an hour into the game. And
you remember he was playing.
And then I seen him and I was like to my I forgot he was playing. He hadn't been involved at any point in the game. And I don't think Redvan on the left side worked last night. And so that sort of front four, I just don't think we were getting them into the game. We had those couple of chances, as you mentioned. But outside of that, I don't think we were getting the players, our creative players, the ones that could maybe do some damage to them into the game and off. And I was a wee bit frustrated. And then at half time, when you see some of the subs who are coming on, then your heart just sinks. You know what I mean? And you just think, right, okay, that opportunity we had that's gone. That's out the window. You know what I mean? It's now a night of just staying in the game. You know what I mean? And that's so. I went into half time, happy that we're still in the game. A wee bit frustrated that we hadn't quite hit those levels that we've played, on other European away ties this season. And then despondency when you see the substitutions getting made. You're just, oh God, this team and injuries. It's baffling. Anyway,
it's difficult to know how serious the injuries are. I haven't picked up if was there a press conference today? I haven't picked up on it if there was. No. So it's difficult to know just how serious those injuries are. But I have to say, when I saw Rice and McCausland come out for the second half, and I saw that it was Balogun that had gone off, and I'm thinking, well, how's this working? How are we doing this? It was a bit of a surprise, I have to say. And I did have the fear that, oh dear, this could go very badly now. When you realise that the offence that was lining up, was Jeffrey, Proper, Tav, and Redvan. That is not our strongest defence. And in front of them, there's a midfield, which again, not our strongest midfield either. But yeah, my heart sank a little. I did think, oh dear, like you, at that we had our chances, and now if we can keep this respectable, I think we'll be doing quite well. And yet, we did more than keep it respectable. It was interesting because, I thought Tav had a wonderful second half. I really thought he did. I didn't think he put a foot wrong at centre half. I thought his assist for Desser's goal, and that taking nothing away from Desser's, but his assist was inch perfect, literally inch perfect. And Proper, who has rightly taken stick for some of his performances this season. Again, he had a good game. Redvan's been played out of position. I'm not still not entirely convinced Ridvan is of the ability or the quality that we need, but he's there and we have him. He was getting played out of position. I get caught a few times in possession, as he seems to do when he's playing over on the right. But, you couldn't fault them. And the young boys that came in.
They've done well.
We'll talk about them a little more. But the young boys that came in. But the game itself was settled by two soft goals that we conceded and one goal of the season that we scored. We'll talk a little about the two soft goals we conceded, but let's talk about Dessel's goal. I mean, has Dessels ever scored a better goal than that? There would be guys who've played football their entire professional lives who haven't scored a goal as good as that.
I mean, he scored a couple of crackers in Europe, John, away from home. I mean,
but as good as that goal. I mean, the touch and the finish.
The touch, yeah. But I mean, I thought the goal in Betis last season was a cracker. There was one this. There was Olympiacos. He scored an absolute peach as well. But that last night was another level. And I think sometimes that's the type of striker he is, instinctive. You know what I mean?
When you look at the miss he had against Fraserburgh. And then you see that.
You've got to think about that.
Old Trafford.
I think the minute he has to think about things, he just gets himself in a flummox. When it's instant, he seems to be a better player. But as you say, it's a great touch, turn, bang. It's like, it is literally touch, hit, goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
even just getting off Maguire, keeping Maguire, and then just stepping off him at the right moment. He knew he had seconds, because I think you and I might even have. I know I certainly texted to my son at half time saying, you know what, we're taking too long on the ball. We're getting caught in possession, but we win the ball and we get caught in possession. We're not moving it quick enough. Dessers could not have done that any quicker.
Yeah, and it was a peach, and you have to feel for him. You know what I mean? Because
that's
he's come off the bench,
with a team
he's going to be the hero of the night if it secures the draw. And he's come off the bench. He's had it's probably been the stickiest period in his Rangers career of late. He's been getting a lot of stick. And so, after his hat trick, okay, it was only against Fraserburgh, but I felt for Dessers on Sunday because he couldn't win. If he didn't score,
he's playing against a Highland League team.
He scores a hat trick, and folk are saying, it's a Highland League team, So I felt he couldn't win on Sunday, no matter what he'd done. So it would have been, it would have been a really famous night in Rangers history, and he'd have been the hero. And he never got it. And he deserved it because it was a.
Oh yeah, he did.
It was a top.
Because he nearly scored before that when he hit the post, probably offside, but he didn't know that at the time. To be fair to him, coming off the bench, and again, this is something I think you and I have spoken about before. Coming off the bench, I think suits Dessers. I think he is the kind of player who is an impact sub. Starting the game, playing for 90 minutes, sometimes not quite as effective, but he definitely is an impact sub. He definitely brings something to it when he does that. The goals we conceded, I mean, the first goal, I don't know what you say about the first goal. There's nothing you can say. It was horrendous. It was so annoying because our team is not tall. We have issues in our team with height. I mean, you saw us against Man United, and I don't even think Man United's a particularly tall team, but 4 or 5 of them were a good. We're being marked by guys who were like 5 inches smaller than them. It was ridiculous. So crosses and corners in particular were always going to be an issue for us. We've not been great at them this season, full stop. They were always going to be an issue for us. The one guy you're expecting to do his job in that situation, you're looking at Tav, you're looking at Ridvan, you're looking at Raskin, you're thinking, right, what the best these guys can do is get in the way, is try and put the guy off. But you're looking at Butland to, if he can get that ball, to get it. I couldn't believe it when I saw it,
Yeah, but he struggled all night though, I mean, don't get me wrong, I thought some of their deliveries were pretty good. Yeah. But I actually do wonder if, they were targeting him a little bit.
I think so too. Because they knew.
So get a decent delivery in and above him, and he might struggle. That said, you don't expect him to struggle.
Not like that.
To that degree, he came out to punch. I mean, I was in the Brimley Road when we played with Leeds United, and John Luckage done exactly the same. We were 1-1 down to Leeds, and he done it. It was almost identical. And it was the first time I'd ever seen that. Someone punching the ball that way. But actually goes that way. it changed my knowledge of physics. Seeing that, you know what I mean? It's like, how is that actually possible? How can you put your fists behind the ball to put it that way and it goes in the net? And it was even more because he looped it last night. You know, it didn't go straight in. It had a wee sort of curve, and it's just. I mean, those are the sort of moments that can kill you in these games because. Yeah. You know, you're getting into these games as the underdog, and I thought the first half was a bit scrappy for both teams. I thought it was a sign of two struggling teams, actually, two teams that are not going through a good period at the moment. Right, but we're still the underdogs. They're the team that are expected to get the result. You know, those are the moments that kill you. If you've worked so hard to get to a certain stage in the game, to be undone by something like that. I mean, if you're going to be undone, you want to say, well, you know what? They've just beat us there, and that's it. You know, they've just done us with a bit of skill, they've done us with a bit of excellent player, whatever. And sometimes you've got to take your medicine. To be undone by something like that, and it came so close after the restart after half time. So I think everyone was already kind of flat, having seen the substitutions and thinking, oh God, here we go. And then for that to happen so early, you just think, right? Because I remember looking at the clock and saying to my son, there's like 33 minutes to go here. You know what I mean? This could be a really long night. You know, memories of Liverpool and all that start to come back. And like, you know, this could be bad.
Yeah.
But you know, we hung in. But it's still disappointing to, you know, stay in the game and have a fighting chance, and then shoot yourself in the foot in that manner. You know.
Yeah, and the second goal, the first goal, you know, is all on Butland. The second goal isn't all on him. And, you know, we've already mentioned, I don't think it's to go through it again, we've all mentioned it. Could he have done a bit better? Yeah, it was hard, it was quick, it was well struck. Like you, it was straight at him. I kind of felt he could maybe have done a bit more. But anyway, Jeffy went to sleep. We've seen that before. Yep. It does seem to be something that happens to an affliction that our left backs get in big games. You know, he went to sleep, he let the boy get away from him. You know, the cross could have been, more pressure could have been put on the guy who was crossing it, I thought. Just keeping concentration at that point. You know, a draw would have been a brilliant result. Just keeping concentration and you know, with a naive goal to lose, a poor goal to lose at that stage of the game. And I just overall a bit frustrating. And it was strange. I went into the game with little expectations. When I saw a team at half time, I feared the worst. And yet, ironically, at the end of that game, I was so down at how we had conceded and how we'd lost the game. My wife's cousin is a Man United fan, and he texted me before, and he texted me after. I said, you know what, I think I felt better if you just beaten us 5-0. I think actually I would have felt better than I feel just now. I just feel like I've had a kick in the balls there.
Yeah, I think if it had stayed 1-0, everyone would have been like, right, okay.
It would have been different.
You know what I mean? You know, given the team we had in the second half, right, okay, we just need to take that. Like any other time, John, it's the hope. It's the hope.
It's the hope.
And when Dessers gets that goal, you have hope. You know, there's 2 minutes to go, plus injury time.
I mean, I at that moment thought, we might win this. Is this just going to be our night?
Yeah.
Listen, we need to move on. Negatives and positives, right? Negatives and positives from last night. Negatives, obviously, aside from the result, I think the negatives have got to be that, you know, more injuries to important players. Czerny going off injured is a worry. He didn't perhaps have his best game last night, but he's been an important player this season for us. Barron going off as well. It's one of these funny ones, you know, he definitely did something to his knee. You know, he might be out for a week, or this is one where he has to go for an op, he's out for 6 months. You just don't know, anything like that. And Balogun, the truth is Balogun, as he keeps breaking down, and at 37, you do worry, is he capable of doing what we need him to do, which would be a real shame, because when he plays, he's good. And then, as I said, the opportunity to take 1 point
is the bigger issue for me. The fact that we're going into a game relying on Balogun at centre half, that's the bigger issue for me. You know, he's a centre half that's been brought in for. He was brought in cover the first time he came into Ibrox. You know, he wasn't the first choice centre half when he came in. He was always viewed as that cover, and then when he played, he tended to get a wee run in the team because he performed quite well. but for all these years that we're still kind of needing him. You know what I mean? I find that really, really frustrating. And okay, we'll bring the young boy back in for Sunday, so we should be covered at centre half on Sunday. But I do find it a worry that we're still sort of relying on people like him. You know what I mean? It's an area of the park that I think needs addressed. And with some experience, with a bit of leadership, no just bringing in an 18-year-old guy that's played for AC Milan and, you know, B team or whatever. You're talking about naivety there, John. I think it's riddled through this team. There is so many moments of naivety that kills. And Jeffy's a perfect example. I mean, I think that's 3 times he's done that now. I'm sure it was the Dynamo Kiev game. He basically just ran the other way and let the boy come in and score. He done it with Andy Halliday in the same.
Yeah, the Mallow game, the semi-final.
You know, and he's done it again. And it's the same. It's like a glitch in his game. The minute a ball comes in from the other side, he seems to want to follow the path of the ball rather than actually see if anyone's coming in at either side.
Just look behind you. Yeah,
just
he needs wing mirrors.
It's just
that's what he needs.
And you're going to get that. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's it comes with learning and experience, but with that particular thing, it doesn't seem to be learning at all.
Positives. We competed to the final whistle. Literally competed to the final whistle.
The goals are an obvious positive.
You know, I think once again we showed that, you know, we do belong at that level. You know, we're not just there to make up the numbers. You know, I think again we showed we do belong at that level, and I think possibly the young players. We've you and I did this show after the Nice game, and against Nice, Bailey Rice and Curtis were on the bench. Rice might actually got on for a short time, but they were both in the squad. And I actually, because I was going through some stuff before this, and you and I actually had a conversation about, do you think there's a chance they're going to get into the team? And you said, no chance. Well, you were right, because they never really got close to the team again. Until the weekend there, and then obviously on Thursday night both of them got a run, and because of them got a run, Nisiala, I suspect, will come back into the team at the weekend as well. So I mean, I suppose that for me is the positive we can take from this, that, you know, Bailey Rice in particular, that, you know, he did all right. Yeah, I thought you know, he doesn't, again, you know, doesn't look massively out of place. Big lad, he's filled out. You know, he doesn't look like he's going to be physically bullied now. You know, Curtis just looks like a wee boy. You know, he just still looks like a wee boy that was on, but you know, Bailey Rice doesn't now. I certainly wouldn't be concerned now if I saw him on our bench and being an option to come on in midfield. I mean, and I think that's probably the big positive to take from this, if there is any.
Yeah, I mean, you always like to see young boys coming through. You know what I mean? It's and they did perform well at one of the, you know, I mean, that's a moment in your career, right? No matter where these boys' careers end up, you know what I mean? Hopefully it's an upward trajectory, but if that's not the case, they can always say, I played for Rangers in a European game at the Theatre of Dreams at Old Trafford and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's a huge moment for them, especially considering the level of performance they put in, you know, because they did play well. So yeah, it's all about, you know, hopefully they'll develop and come on. I think the one that's got the stronger chance at the moment is Rice. I think he, as you say, you know, he looks composed and physical enough to sort of deal with first team football. We'll just have to wait and see how he, you know, how big a challenge he puts in. You know,
I remember
in terms of attitude and stuff like that. You know,
well, this is that, and that's the big thing. It's attitude. You know, it's all very well having the ability. You need to have the mentality. I remember Kyle Hutton playing against Manchester United for Rangers when I guess would be the Champions League, and nearly scored an absolute worldie. You know, and last we heard he was playing for Park, so.
He was. No, he's not there now. He got punted.
Yeah, so,
and I watched him for a few weeks at Park, John.
Yeah.
And you forgot he was playing at times.
Yeah.
He never. So you know, it's you know, there's some things that can impact on a player's career that are kind of out with their control, like injuries and stuff like that. And everyone needs a bit of luck at the right time. You know, a manager that maybe takes a shine to you and gives you that encouragement and opportunities. You know, but some of it's in their hands as well. You know,
a lot of it's in their hands. And I guess the point I'm making is that just the fact that you come on against Manchester United in the European game for Rangers doesn't mean you've made it. There's still a lot of work to be done. You need to earn your bones against Dundee Uniteds and the St Johnstones and these teams. Talking of Dundee United, we go there on Sunday. It's an early kick-off. Obviously, I don't know yet that the injuries from last night, how serious they are, but I think it's fair to say that Diomande will come back into the squad, probably into the team. Danilo will probably come back into the team. Hadji, is he fit? I don't know. I think he took a knock, didn't he? But I think he is fit, and I expect Nasiala will return. Lawrence was on the bench, so you have to assume that he's fairly close to full fitness too. So, do any of the young players keep their place, or do you think we go back to a back four of Jeffrey Proper, Nasiala and Tav, a midfield of probably going to have a midfield then of Diomande, Raskin. I'm not sure who else will be in there, but probably Hadji.
It'd either be Hadji or Bajrami, I would imagine.
Yeah. And then
I would imagine.
Cherny's the one you wonder who's going to play instead of Cherny.
I think he might go with, if Hadji is available, I think he might go with Bajrami in the middle. Hadji in the middle, and stick Bajrami on the left, and go with McCausland on the right.
Right,
but we'll see.
Danilo, you don't think Danilo will start?
I don't think he'll start, no, because he's been injured, hasn't he?
Has he ever been fit? Has he ever not injured?
It's hard to keep track of injuries, John. You know what I mean? They drop like flies.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah, he was injured.
You're not running about last week.
He was out. You're right.
His arm down his side and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It was a shoulder thing. So shoulder injury. So
right. Okay. Right. Oh well. Danilo's not coming back in. Right. Well, McCausland it is. All right. So you don't see any young players keeping their place in the starting lineup, but probably the bench.
No, I would think so. I certainly would imagine. I mean, given we're short of numbers at the moment, probably both of them will make the bench. But I would suggest that Bailey Rice is the one that's got the bigger chance of coming on at some point at this stage. So we'll see what comes. But I'm nervous about Sunday. I've got to be honest.
Aye, well, United are sitting third, but they've only won once in the last 4 games. So they were in form, maybe not in form necessarily since the turn of the year. Outside of us and Celtic, they are the only side in the league with a positive goal difference, which is quite a damning statistic about the league we play in, with +7. I don't need to remind you our away form is not good. We always, the game after the European game, and I think after a hard game like that as well, there is a hangover. Whatever players say there is. I don't know if it's a mental thing or a physical thing or a bit of both, but there is. But it's going to be a difficult game for us. Man United, Dundee United will fancy themselves in this game. Their home record isn't brilliant, but they've got goals. They signed 2 players during the week there. Guy Dillon, who has been in Scotland before, I can't remember where he was. And the lad, Fiorini, I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly, he was under 21 international for Scotland, he was at Man City.
Right.
But, I don't know, he never made the Man City first team and he was out. He was playing abroad. Anyway, he's found himself at Dundee United. I have no idea if he's any good. And they already had the guy Dalby who's been scoring goals for them this season. So, it's a hard game.
Yeah, as I said, given our away form of late, and I mean, I think that Christmas period has just killed us, and I just feel Rangers at times look like a team that want the season to be over already. You know what I mean? Because the title's done. There's a bit of flack flying about and all the rest of it, and it just feels like it's going to be a long few months until the end of the season. So. Obviously, the European thing that you've just spoke about, we've come off a difficult, hard game that ultimately we couldn't win, and it was quite deflating in how it happened and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there to make you worry about Sunday. You know what I mean? Even if we'd came away with a result last night, I would have still been a wee bit anxious about going to Tannadice because our away form domestically is just so poor.
What do you put that down to, Colin? Why is our away form?
No idea.
To go back to this naivety, the mentality.
I think the mentality of the team is wrong. It's something we've spoke about a lot on this pod. It was an accusation that was aimed at Gerrard's team quite a lot. The mentality side of things, but it's definitely. I just think, we've spoke before about, they need to reduce the wage bill and reduce the age of the team and all that kind of stuff. But I just kind of wonder if we've went a bit too far that way and got rid of just too many boys that had that experience and knowledge. Because, when you look at Celtic, they've got so many of those boys that just know how to win games, when they're having a bad day. The main example is Carl McGregor. He just knows how to win games. He knows how to see, as a captain, to see a team through games. He knows what to do and when to do it and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't think we have that. And last night's a prime example. If you get a goal with a minute to go, 2 minutes to go, all you've got to do is see it injury time.
Yeah.
Go
down injured. It's just stop that game.
Do what you need to do. You just break up the game, keep your shape, do what you need to do. To run down that clock and see it out. And it was just, we couldn't do it. And I think that is embedded in this group at the moment. And it comes out away from home.
That will partly be to do with an experience at a certain level, but we do have experienced players there. I guess that just comes with games. The squad then, just to end things, the squad, do you expect much business before the window closes, either in or out? Lowry's away. Our last great white hope we had. He's gone to Wickham. Matondo, it looks like that's fallen through. He was off to Coventry, but he's been sent to Coventry, but it turns out he hasn't been sent to Coventry, so he's back. And I don't know if that will be resurrected or whatever, but I guess, I think we've known for a while, we've been trying to find a home for him. When I saw Matondo when it was rumoured that Matondo was going and obviously Lowry had gone, I thought, we'll bring somebody in now. Maybe just on loan, not necessarily a signing, but that's freed up enough wages that we'll bring somebody in, because I assume Matondo's on a pretty decent wage. But I guess it will depend. Somebody else needs to go.
I don't know if it'll happen. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Lawrence going. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if Lawrence.
Well, he's in the last 6 months of his contract.
Yeah, so
wouldn't think
I wouldn't mind seeing him going.
With.
I actually, as much as I like Dessers in terms of his attitude and stuff like that, I think if we could actually get money in for him.
Well, bloody hell! After that goal last night, surprised Real Madrid didn't put a bid in for him this morning.
Yeah. I just think. Loads of people disagree with me, but I just think domestically, I think Shanklin would do a job for Rangers. I really do, and he would. He's in the last 6 months of his contract, so you would get him for next to nothing. In terms of salary, would you be paying him as much as you're paying Dessers? I don't think he would be. So it would be a cheaper option that would probably provide you with more options. Obviously, it'd be a short-term thing because he's like, 29, 30 or something like that. So maybe a 2-year contract tops or something. So I think a move like that, financially and on the park, makes sense. I would actually take... Chris Boyd was going on about it a couple of weeks ago. I would take Johnny Evans as well. I would take him. I would take guys now to get us to the end of the season who just have that experience. Just guys. I remember, somebody told me in the office one morning when Walter Smith had just came back for his second stint, that shoes signed Davy Weir. I'm sitting in the office at 9:30 in the morning, and I nearly choked on my tea. Right, I'm like, why are we signing a 36-year-old centre half? You know what I mean? And we got 4 or 5 years at him, and it was immense.
He was the club captain, and he was an immense player. Yeah.
It was a great.
The one that I remember, everybody remembers Weir, but was Ekihog, who came in for a short time, helped shore up the defence.
Yep.
Scored an overhead kick against Celtic, just as for the cream. But basically an experienced guy who can come in and strengthen up the spine of the team.
Just strengthen up. Yep.
And that's where we're weak just now. That's where we need bodies. I would have no issue with Evans as well. It'll probably be his last contract. The problem you have is you want Evans to come in. If you want him to play 2 games a week, you can't do it. But if you were bringing him in to cover for 2 fit centre halves, that's my worry just now, is that whoever we bring in, chances are they're going to be asked to play 20 games.
Yeah.
So you do need to be careful. You don't end up just with another guy sitting there, trying to get fit. Yeah.
Another guy that's just going to sit on the bench for the next sort of injury room.
The young lad we've signed, who I suspect, like you, I don't know anything about. He looks like a kid who I think he was at Sporting Lisbon initially, and he ended up in French football. Clearly a guy who will be able to, he'll be decent on the ball. Whether he can adapt to Scottish football and how long that'll take him, I'm not sure. But a very Coppin type buy, a kind of young unknown that he's picking up from not a huge amount of money and hoping to. I guess he turns into something and they can sell him on in 18 months, 2 years' time. But like you, I would be quite happy for them just bringing in a guy, bringing in a 29-year-old who's not getting a game for Aston Villa just now or something, just until the end of the season. A couple of guys like that would really help that squad, because we're looking at, we're almost certainly going to have at least 3 more games in Europe. We're still in the Scottish Cup, and then you've got all the league games on top of that. And even if the league is gone, you still like to win as many of them as you can. There's still pressure on Rangers. Rangers need to keep winning.
So we need to secure second place. I mean, if for accepting the league's gone, which I think it is, then you need to make sure that you're not getting dragged in, because Aberdeen, when they were on that run, at one point there was doubts about whether we could finish second. You're thinking, everyone was saying Aberdeen's bubble would burst. I think we always knew it would. I don't think we knew it would burst to the level that it has.
Yeah, but we didn't realise it was going to sink to the bottom. Yeah.
Sink, just basically go completely the other way. My worry was, were we going to be consistent enough? If they've had such a great run and got so far in front of us, are we going to, when they drop points, are we going to take advantage of that? Are we going to be consistent? That's what my fear was. But obviously, we're ahead of them now. But if Dundee United get a win on Sunday, then all of a sudden, you're not.
Yeah, their tails will be up. Of course they will. I don't. I'm still not. I'm not overly concerned that we'll get caught over the course of the season. I'm not saying we won't. We might have a bad result on Sunday, but I think over the course of the season we'll finish above Dundee United and Aberdeen. But that doesn't matter, if you're Rangers, you want to win that Scottish Cup. You want to, we could get through the next round in Europe. We're going to be playing a hard team, but you don't know who we'll get. And you've seen us before in that competition and in those nights. I think it's a hard place for any team to come. You want to do that. If you're Rangers, you want to win as many games as you can. And like you, I would. I accept the logic, possibly more so than some people, and maybe even more so than you, Colin. I accept the logic of what we're trying to do with the young players coming in and try to build them up, and the difficulty that that's given us this season and may give us next season. But I do think you're right. I do think a couple of experienced hands coming in for 6 months. That's what that squad needs just now. However, there you go. Colin, appreciate you giving up your storm-ravaged evening to come and talk to us. I'll take your word for it that you're not disappointed that you're missing Traitors. But I will thank you for your time. It's good to see you again as ever. I just remind everybody that the pod is available on a variety of different platforms, on Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, and Spotify. So as we said at the start, if you enjoy the pod, then please subscribe so you don't miss any. We are planning a pod on Sunday night with Scott, Stuart, and Alex. And they'll look back on the Dundee United match and look forward to our next European game on Thursday. Thank you for giving up your evening and sharing some of it with us. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for listening, and good night.